In today's lecture, we will study the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is one of the basic tissue of our body. There is epithelium, connective tissue and muscle. These are also the basic tissues of our body which we have already studied in our previous lectures. So today we will study nervous tissue. It is specialized tissue because it shows property of irritability and conductivity. Anatomically, we can divide the nervous system into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord. Brain is located in the cranial cavity and spinal cord is present in the spinal canal. And the second system is peripheral nervous system. It consists of cranial nerves, spinal nerves, peripheral nerves and peripheral ganglia. Functionally, the nervous system is divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system provides motor and sensory innervations to all parts of our body except viscera, smooth muscle and glands. And the autonomic nervous system includes the innervations to smooth muscle, cardiac conducting cells and glands. Autonomic nervous system is further divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic system. The somatic innervations allow rapid response to external stimuli, whereas autonomic system regulates the function of internal organs. In general, the nervous tissue has two components, neurons and neuroglia. Neurons are the excitable cells and neuroglia are non-excitable supporting cells. So, there are two components, neurons and neuroglia. Neurons are the nerve cells, they are excitable and these are parenchymal cells which are structural and functional unit of nervous system. The neurons have body or soma and they have processes, that is axon and dendrites. When the neuron behaves as secretory, it is known as neuroendocrinal tissue. A mature neuron does not divide mitotically after birth except bipolar olfactory neuron and some neurons of hippocampus. So this is about the neuron. Now second variety of cell present in nervous tissue is supporting cell or neuroglial cell. It is non-conducting, it is non-excitable. It provides support and it is the electrical insulation for nerve cell body. It allows metabolic exchange pathways. It maintains blood-brain barrier. The neuroglial cells include ependymal cells, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia in central nervous system, whereas in peripheral nervous system we have Schwann cells and satellite cells. The neuroglial cells undergo mitotic division. And the applied importance of these cells is that most of the brain tumors are neuroglial in origin. So they arise from the neuroglia, mainly the astrocyte, it is known as astrocytoma. Then they may arise from meningeal layer or they may have vascular origin. Only for the brain we have medulloblastoma of cerebellum. It is rare abnormal proliferation of neurons or nerve cells. A neuron has soma or body or perikaryon. Then it has processes known as neurites. So they are axons and dendrites. These are the neuronal processes and it has synaptic junction. The cell body consists of nucleus, perinuclear cytoplasm and cell membrane. And the cytoplasm has large central vesicular nucleus which is euchromatic. There are numerous mitochondria, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex is there. The neurons also have centrioles but they do not divide. They help in production of neurofibrils. And the cytoplasm shows a specific feature or the peculiar feature seen only in the neuron, that is presence of granular basophilic cytoplasmic material known as Measles bodies. The Measles bodies are stalks of rough endoplasmic reticulum and the neuron contains many neurofibrils like microtubules, microfilaments. Some of the neurons also contain pigments like melanin pigment is there found in substantia nigra, then lipochrome is the yellow pigment seen in the old age. Lipofuscin is also the senility pigment made of fatty acid. And the processes arising from the cell body are known as neurites. So these neurites are either axons or dendrites. The dendrites, as we can see in the diagram, they are multiple, short, thick, tapering, and they have branch like means tree branching pattern. And the Nielsen's granules are also present in the dendrites. The branching pattern or the arborization of the dendrites is known as dendritic tree. And the dendrites are afferents. They receive information from the periphery and they carry or conduct the information towards the soma or body of the cell. In previous slide, we have seen parts of neuron, means the soma or perikaryon, and the nucleus, cytoplasm, and the cell organelle, cell membrane. And among the neurites, we have seen the dendrites. Now, the second type of neurite is axon. The axon is single, long, thin process of the neuron, and it carries information away from the neuron body. Means it is acting as efferent path. So it carries information away from the neuron body and it has a uniform diameter. Again, we should remember that axon is devoid of Nielsen's granules. The Nielsen's granules are present in dendrites and the cell body, but the Nielsen's granules are absent in axon. Exoplasm is the term used for cytoplasm in the axon, and exolemma is the cell membrane of the axon. Now, as the axons do not have rough endoplasmic reticulum or Nielsen's granules in them, so the protein synthesized in the cell body needs to be transported across the axon. So we have axonal transport system. The periaxonal plaques are present at the axon terminals and they have rough endoplasmic reticulum in them and they are involved in the process of neural cell memory. The exoplasmic transport may be orthograde. Orthograde means from the cell body to the nerve endings, or it can be retrograde from the nerve endings to the cell body. Then there is an area or part of the cell body known as axonal hillock. So axonal hillock is the part of the soma that is devoid of Nielsen's granule and it gives rise to axon. Then just below the axonal hillock, there is initial segment. So the initial unmyelinated part of the axon that lies between axonal hillock and myelinated part of the axon is known as initial segment. And the significance of this segment is action potential is generated at initial segment. Then we'll come to the clinical significance. So there is a chromatolysis, means whenever there is injury to the nerve axon due to, means it can be mechanical injury or toxic agents may injure the axon. So because of such injury, there occurs structural changes in the cell body of neuron in response to damage of its axon, and it is known as chromatolysis. So the nasal bodies degenerate, cell body is swollen, nucleus will be shifted eccentrically and the neurofilaments will be broken in the process of chromatolysis. There are some cells of olfactory bulb and dentate gyrus of the hippocampus. They have neural stem cells and they can generate new neurons. So this is the exception. We say that the neurons of the central nervous system does not regenerate. So the exception is olfactory bulb and dentate gyrus of hippocampus. As they have neural stem cells in them, they can regenerate into new neurons. So in this slide, we will revise the difference between axon and dendrites. So the axons are single long thin process of the neuron, whereas dendrites are multiple short thick processes of neuron. Axon carries signal away from the nerve cell body, that is efferent, whereas dendrites carry signal towards the nerve cell body, they are afferents. Then the axons rarely branch. The branches of axon they form axonal terminals, and the dendrites, they undergo arborization. They form dendritic tree by branching. Then the axon has uniform diameter, whereas in dendrites the diameter goes on decreasing from proximal to distal end. So it is tapering towards the distal end. And the axons do not contain Niesel's granules, whereas dendrites contain Niesel's granule in them. Neurons can be classified by many ways. So based on the number of processes, the neurons can be classified as unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, bipolar and multipolar neurons. The unipolar neurons are those which have only one cell process, and it is mostly the dendrite. Example of unipolar neuron is mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve, and also some neurons are unipolar during early embryonic life. Then the next variety is pseudo-unipolar neuron. They also have one process, but it is mostly axon, and it divides into two branches, peripheral and central. Example of pseudo-unipolar neuron is the dorsal root ganglia and sensory nerve ganglion. Then the third variety is bipolar neuron. They have two processes. One is axon and the other is dendrite, and most of the sensory organs have bipolar neurons in them. Example, retina, then the ganglionic cells of vestibular and spiral ganglia, they are also bipolar. Then the multipolar neurons are those which have multiple processes. So one axon is there and there are many dendrites. Example is the neurons present in cerebrum. So these neurons are known as pyramidal cells. In the cerebellum we have multipolar neuron known as Purkinje cell. They are flash shaped. Then we have the stellate cells. They are star-like in shape. So these all multipolar neurons, they are present in the spinal cord, cerebellum, cerebrum as motor neurons and interneurons. Other ways of classifying the neurons is based on the length of the axon. So if a neuron has long axon, it is known as Golgi type 1 neuron, and its example is pyramidal cells of the motor cortex in cerebrum. And if the axon is short in length, then the neuron is known as Golgi type 2. Example is neurons of the cerebral and cerebellar cortex. Then other method of classifying the neurons is based on its function. So it can be sensory or motor neuron. So in this diagram, we can see this is the sensory neuron and this is the motor neuron. Sensory neuron, they receive impulse from the periphery and they carry the signal to the nervous system. So this is the sensory neuron, and through the dorsal root ganglia to the posterior column of the spinal cord. This is sensory neuron. It receives impulse and it carries the impulse from periphery to the central nervous system. Then second variety of neuron is motor neuron. So this one is the motor neuron. So it is efferent in function. It carries impulses from the central nervous system. Neuroglia are the non-excitatory, non-conducting, supporting cells of nervous system, and they are grouped as macroglia and microglia. Macroglia includes astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, ependymal cells, then the Muller cells of retina, pituocytes of a pituitary gland. They develop from neuroectoderm. So you can correlate it with the diagram. And second is microglia. Microglia are mesodermal in origin and they come under mononuclear phagocytic system, and they appear in brain, spinal cord and growing blood vessels. We can also classify them as central neuroglia present in central nervous system and peripheral neuroglia are the supportive cells present in peripheral nervous system. So in the central nervous system, the supporting cells are mainly of four types. They are astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia and ependymal cells. The astrocytes form mainly the blood-brain barrier, oligodendrocytes form the myelin sheath, microglia are phagocytic in function, ependymal cells line the ventricles of the brain. And on routine HNA staining, we can only see the nuclei of these neuroglial cells. We cannot see the cell processes, and in order to see the cell processes by using immunohistochemistry, or we can impregnate, means we can do metal impregnation and visualize the cell processes. The neuroglial cells support the embryonic or developing neurons as well as provide physical support after development also. So this is for the central neuroglia. Now peripheral neuroglia are present in the peripheral nervous system. So there are two types of neuroglia in the peripheral nervous system. First is Schwann cell, they form the myelin sheath, and there are satellite cells. They are again supportive cells. The neuroglia are visualized only by metallic impregnation staining, means the staining with gold, silver. They will help in visualizing the neuroglia. We will study all the neuroglial cells in detail one by one. So the first variety of neuroglial cell is astrocyte. It is named as astrocyte because it is star shaped. It is largest neuroglial cell and it has numerous processes in it. And the astrocytes are of two types, fibrous and protoplasmic. As you can see in the diagram, the fibrous astrocytes have white, longer, fewer, thin processes, and it is mostly present in the white matter of central nervous system. Whereas the protoplasmic astrocytes are numerous, short, thick, branching cytoplasmic processes are there, and mostly they are found in the gray matter. And the protoplasmic astrocytes are devoid of gliofibrils. The astrocytes have glial fibrillary acidic protein in them, and the antibodies to these proteins are specific to astrocytes. Astrocyte is a neuroglial cell which provides physical support to the neurons. It maintains the metabolic environment for neurons by removing the neurotransmitters from synapses. It is also a storehouse for glycogen and it helps in maintaining blood-brain barrier. Its most important function is it is a component of blood-brain barrier. There is glial limitans. It is the membrane-like barrier on the external as well as internal surface of the brain and spinal cord produced by protoplasmic astrocyte. These astrocytes maintain potassium concentration in extracellular spaces of brain and spinal cord by potassium spatial buffering. Then gliosis is the proliferation of astrocytes to heal the damaged zones of nervous tissue. Means wherever there is damage, the astrocytes will proliferate there and the parenchyma of the brain at that part is replaced by fibrotic tissue, and this process is known as gliosis. Then the fibrous astrocyte tumors, astrocytoma, they account for about 80% of the brain tumors in adults. Astrocyte forms the blood-brain barrier. So how this blood-brain barrier is formed? It is mainly formed by non-fenestrated endothelium of capillaries. So these are the non-fenestrated endothelial cells, and these are connected by tight junction, and the basement membrane is also continuous here. So this is one component, that is non-fenestrated endothelium connected by tight junction and continuous basement membrane. Then we can see the pericytes also. Then the next component is perivascular foot processes of the astrocyte. So these are the foot processes of the astrocytes. They also help in the formation of blood-brain barrier, and the space between the astrocyte and neuron, it is about 20 nanometers. The blood-brain barrier is absent in pineal body, posterior lobe of the pituitary gland, area postrema, organum vasculosum, lamina terminalis, then intercolumnar tubercle. So this is important for MCQs. And the clinical significance is that in Kernicterus is the condition in severe jaundice affecting infants. The bile pigment may. The second type of central neuroglial cell is oligodendrocyte. Oligo means what? Scanty. So these are small round cells and they have scanty cytoplasmic processes. Therefore they are known as oligodendrocytes. And they are distributed as perineural satellite cells in gray matter around the cell body and dendrites. And the second site of distribution is perifascicular cells. These are in the white matter along myelinated nerve fibers. Then the third location is juxtavascular cells. They terminate on the walls of blood vessels. These oligodendrocytes produce myelin sheath in the central nervous system. This is most important function of oligodendrocyte. Again, we have to remember that one oligodendrocyte myelinates many adjacent axons or sometimes same axon at different places. And gap between adjacent process of the oligodendrocytes that myelinate an axon is known as node of Ringwer. Myelin sheath is formed in the neurons of central nervous system by oligodendrocytes, whereas the myelin sheath for the peripheral nervous system is formed by the Schwann cells, and there is difference in the formation of myelin sheath by oligodendrocytes and the Schwann cells. So what is the difference in the central nervous system? The proteolipid proteins, then the myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein, oligodendrocyte myelin glycoprotein, these are all specific to myelination of central nervous system. Then the Skinner's Lanterman clefts are less in central nervous system and they are more in the myelin of the peripheral nervous system. So the Lanterman's cleft are less in central nervous system because the astrocytes provide favorable metabolic environment to the neurons. Then the oligodendrocytes do not have external lamella, whereas the Schwann cells have external lamella. Then the unmyelinated neurons in the central nervous system are not enclosed by the processes of oligodendrocytes, but they are enclosed by the processes of Schwann cells in peripheral nervous system. So this is the basic difference in the myelination by the oligodendrocytes of the central nervous system and Schwann cells of the peripheral nervous system. We'll just revise the difference. So first is the myelin sheath is having a specific glycoprotein for myelination in central nervous system. Then the Lanterman's cleft are few in central nervous system, they are more in peripheral nervous system. Then the oligodendrocytes do not have external lamella, Schwann cells have external lamella. Unmyelinated neurons are not enclosed by oligodendrocytes in central nervous system, but the unmyelinated neurons are enclosed by processes of Schwann cells in peripheral nervous system. And what is the function of oligodendrocyte? It is to produce myelin sheath over the neurons of central nervous system. The third variety of neuroglial cells in the central nervous system is microglia. So these are smallest neuroglial cells involved in phagocytosis. When they become active or when they become reactive, they have phagocytic function. The microglial cells come under mononuclear phagocytic system. They are derived from mesoderm and they have small cells with few cytoplasmic processes and they have elongated nucleus. The function of microglial cells is phagocytosis. They proliferate specifically in the nervous tissue injury and diseases and they form a part of mononuclear phagocytic system. The microglial cells remove bacteria, cancer cells or neoplastic cells. They remove the dead nerve cells. Then there are cells, microglial cells known as Gitter cells. So these are lipid-laden microglial cells. They are observed at the edges of the healing brain infarct. They are also known as compound granule cells. Or they are known as Gitter cell, they are known as mesoglia or perivascular glial cells. So these are nothing but lipid-laden microglial cells at the edges of the healing brain infarcts. The fourth variety of neuroglial cell is ependymal cell. So the ventricles of the central nervous system are lined by the neuroglial cells known as ependymal cells, and these are normally cuboidal to columnar and they are arranged in single layer. They are derived from neural tube and there are three types of ependymal cell: ependymocytes, choroid epithelial cells and tanycytes. And most of the cavities are lined by ependymocyte except choroid plexus. So at the site of choroid plexus, it is lined by choroid epithelial cells that secrete CSF, and the floor of third ventricle is lined by tanycytes. So again, it is important for MCQ. The tanycytes are specialized ependymal cells. They are sensitive to the changes in glucose concentration and they monitor the level of metabolites. So that is the function of tanycytes. They are mainly present in the floor of third ventricle. Functions of ependymal cell are: they help in exchange of substance between brain and CSF at brain CSF barrier. Then the choroid plexus secretes cerebrospinal fluid and the tanycytes monitor or they respond to the glucose concentration changes. Then the blood CSF barrier, it's one of its component is ependymal cell. So how the blood CSF barrier is formed? It is formed by the fenestrated endothelium of choroid capillaries resting on basement membrane. Then there is a tissue space between vascular endothelium and pile membrane, whereas the ependymal cells are connected by tight junctions. So these form the CSF barrier. Up till now we have studied the neuroglial cells of central nervous system. Now we will see the supportive cells or neuroglial cells of peripheral nervous system. So they are of two types, Schwann cells and satellite cells. The Schwann cells are also known as neuroleukocytes. They are present only in peripheral nervous system. So as you can see in the diagram, the Schwann cells are flat cells. They have flat nucleus and they are surrounded by cytoplasm. And the Schwann cells are derived from neural crest cell and their function is to produce myelin in the peripheral nervous system. The second variety of neuroglial cell is satellite cell. So in the ganglion, the neuronal bodies are surrounded by a layer of flat cuboidal cells known as satellite cells. So they form the capsule and the satellite cell capsule gives rise to the nerve cell processes. In sensory ganglia, the satellite cells are nearly complete as sensory neurons do not synapse in ganglia, whereas in autonomic ganglia, the satellite cell capsule is not complete as the autonomic neurons have synapse in the ganglia. And the function of satellite cell is protection and support to the ganglionic neurons. Myelin is an insulating sheath surrounding the axon of myelinated nerve cells, and it is produced by oligodendrocytes in central nervous system and Schwann cells in peripheral nervous system. And in the process of myelination, the axon initially lies in the groove of the Schwann cell, as you can see in the first diagram. The cell membrane of Schwann cell is converted into three zones. Abaxonal plasma membrane is exposed to exterior environment. Adaxonal lies in contact with the axon. Mesaxon is the double membrane fold that connects the abaxonal and adaxonal membranes. Then the sheet-like extension of mesoaxon surrounds the axon spirally, and the cytoplasm of mesaxon gets squeezed. Thus, as a result of it, there is formation of lipid layer around the axon, and it is known as myelin sheath. Outside the myelin sheath, there is a thin layer of cytoplasm of the Schwann cells along with its surrounding cell membrane, and it is known as neurolemma or neurolemmal sheath. So the neurolemma is present only in the myelinated fibers of peripheral nervous system formed by Schwann cell. It is not seen in the myelin sheath surrounding the central nervous system formed by oligodendrocytes. Myelin sheath contains 80% lipids. Also, it has proteins and water. The Schneid's lantern and cleft are small pockets of cytoplasm in inner layer of myelin sheath, and usually the cytoplasm gets squeezed off from the myelin sheath during the wrapping of mesoaxon around the axon, and the unmyelinated axons are covered by Schwann cells in peripheral nervous system. A single Schwann cell is invaginated by multiple unmyelinated axon, and the function of myelin sheath is it provides protection and physical support to the axon. Then it insulates the axons, it increases nerve conduction, and neurolemmal sheath plays important role in the nerve regeneration. Then there is clinical significance also. There are some demyelinating diseases due to deficiency of lipoprotein, and it may also result from some autoimmune diseases, and example is multiple sclerosis. There are patches of demyelination of spinal cord, cerebellum, optic nerve. Myelin sheath has specific proteins used in immunohistochemistry for staining of myelin. There is protein O, it is the adhesion molecule in mesaxonal folding, and if this PO protein gene is mutated, then it will lead to demyelinating disease such as Guillain-Barré syndrome and multiple sclerosis. Again, it is important to know that one Schwann cell can produce myelin sheath around only one axon, whereas the oligodendrocyte, a single oligodendrocyte, can produce myelin sheath around many axons. Again, the second difference is neurolemmal sheath. It is present only in the peripheral nervous system, and that's why the nerve fibers can regenerate in peripheral nervous system. But the neurolemmal sheath is not seen in the central nervous system, as a single oligodendrocyte does not cover one axon. And because of absence of neurolemmal sheath in the central nervous system, regeneration of neuron is not possible in the central nervous system. Then around a single axon, many Schwann cells form myelin sheath, and the gap between segment of myelin and the adjacent Schwann cells is known as nodes of Renvoyer, and they increase the nerve conduction. The internode is segment of myelin sheath between adjacent nodes of Renvoyer. Again, we should know that the thickness of myelin sheath does not depend on the Schwann cell. It depends on axonal diameter. The myelin sheath thickness is regulated by the growth factor known as neuregulin. So the neuregulin growth factor is expressed on the axonema of the axon.